Right, let's start. And I can see people. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I can see people are still joining. Good afternoon, Elenia. 14, 20, 25. I'll give the others a few minutes to join, and then we'll begin proper. People are still coming in. Whilst they're coming in, let me introduce myself. I'm Richard Brady. I'm the head of the British Legal Centre. I'm both delighted and honoured to be part of this. I want to thank Mr. Nikhil Seth, the Assistant Director General of the United Nations and the Executive Head of Unitar, the United Nations Institute of Training and Research, for joining us today. You will probably all be aware, all those that you're attending, that the British Legal Centre and Unitar have recently signed agreements to work together to provide training courses for the future. I'm going to very briefly introduce myself and then another member of the team from the British Legal Centre, and then I'll pass it over to Unitar to introduce their two speakers for the day. As I said, my name is Richard Brady. As you can probably tell from the way I speak, I'm an Englishman, I'm a lawyer, and for the last 11 years, as of today is our 11th anniversary, I've been running the organisation I founded, British Legal Centre. I'm also one of the main trainers, although I tend to do more administration than training these days. And I promote legal courses and legal training for young lawyers to turn them into international lawyers. Speaking later will be Professor Marjorie Sudrow. Professor Sudrow has worked at the Goethe Institute in Germany and at various well-known universities in Paris, where she still provides training and an MBA program. She started the entrepreneurship program for the business university. She deals with finance and financial issues relating to startup companies. And her joining the British Legal Centre has enabled us to extend our range of courses to deal with financial issues. And because of her involvement with some other high-ranking financial personalities, we're now able to provide training at international level in relation to financial projects. I'll let Professor Sudrow tell you about that later in our webinar. And I'll pass this over now to Unitar to introduce their two speakers.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining today's webinar on Legal Knowledge to Lead. Unitar is also very pleased to kickstart this new partnership with the British Legal Centre. From Unitar, we will first have our Executive Director, Mr. Nikhil Seth, opening with some introductory remarks, and then we will have our colleague Dr. Sabrina Wollmann, who is leading our international team at the Division for Multilateral Diplomacy, and will be presenting Unitar's environmental law trainings. I would like to remind everybody that you have the Q&A option, so you can put your questions in the question and answers, and we will address them at the end of the panel. Thank you very much, Nikhil, for being here, and I would like now to leave the floor for you.
Thank you. Richard, Bradley, other friends and colleagues of the British Legal Centre, Sabrina and other colleagues from Unitar, all you great participants at this webinar. I'm very happy to be part of this webinar today, which is being jointly organized by Unitar and the British Legal Centre. By way of introduction, Unitar supports individuals, organizations and institutions to achieve inclusive and sustainable growth by strengthening their capacities, by developing skills for multi-stakeholder collaboration, and enhancing knowledge on subjects such as finance, language, and law. Our collaboration with the British Legal Centre and the courses we have endorsed are very well suited to the type of outcomes we hope to achieve at Unitar. Of course, at Unitar, we are driven very strongly by the values of the United Nations, and in particular, the desire to achieve the goals and targets which are contained in the 2030 Agenda, and they're called the Sustainable Development Goals. The collaboration between the British Legal Centre and Unitar will broaden the outreach between the two organizations and will provide expertise in the form of new methods of online learning, information sharing, and collaboration. The online courses include training on legal English, legal writing, contract law, and document drafting, which are endorsed by Unitar and delivered by very well qualified British lawyers. The British Legal Centre is promoting key environmental law courses from Unitar, specializing in human rights, climate change, international environmental law, and techniques and procedures in environmental law. Lawyers today are faced with new and evolving challenges, primarily those necessitating a communication with other legal professionals in different countries and very different legal systems. English has become the lingua franca of international communication. The globalization and internationalization inevitably influence the needs of international lawyers as well as diplomats within legal English as a vehicle of communication in their profession. Legal English has its own characteristics, which are hard sometimes to understand, even for a professional lawyer who is a native English speaker. Legal English has specific terminology that makes it a language within a language, and it is not only important for lawyers to understand, but also navigate this effectively. To communicate with English-speaking customers or consult them in the field of international law, the practitioner must learn the terminology of English for lawyers. As well, legal English is important for anyone who may work with legal contracts, legal documents, or those who may simply find it advantageous to expand their professional repertoire. In many circumstances, communicating professionally depends upon the sort of knowledge of our collaborative courses. In accordance with the Sustainable Development Goals, which I mentioned were outlined in Agenda 2030, this partnership will allow learners the chance to equip themselves with the knowledge and skills to overcome challenges they may face within the legal realm. With this collaboration, we invest a concrete effort in the achievement of one of the targets of the SDGs, which is to ensure equal access for all women and men to affordable and quality technical, vocational, and tertiary education by 2030. We will do so through reducing barriers to skills development by delivering these courses and using the most up-to-date technology, providing flexibility to learners all around the world, and making sure it is at an affordable price. Unitar's objectives are to provide excellent training products and services to our participants and relevant entities in order to achieve a more equitable international community. And this collaboration with Richard and the British Legal Centre enhances this goal. Being able to communicate effectively with other people in the legal and political professions is of paramount importance, and particularly so when working in an international environment. Mastering legal English is necessary to improve the skills and qualifications of lawyers and diplomats in Latin America for their professional career. Consistent with this, it will be undeniably raise the value of the law firms and organizations and give them an advantage in the labor market. Specialists who are adept at English for lawyers and who know the terminology well will be able to understand complicated issues in international legal English and law. And they will always be welcomed as employees in many international companies. I wish you all a very productive learning session and look forward to your advice in making our courses more productive and effective. So thank you very much, Richard.
Mr. Nikhil, Seth, I want to thank you very much for this opportunity to work with Unitar. We're both delighted and honoured to partner with you in your achieving the goals that you're setting yourselves. We are exactly on the same page as you with regard to the promotion of legal English courses and courses for lawyers and other professionals to allow them to participate and compete on the global stage, especially in relation to providing these courses at an affordable price for those countries who in the past have had difficulties affording the fees of the professional bodies in the West. We also support the promotion and the protection of women's rights, of migratory labour, of protection of the environment, of enforcement of laws to protect the environment. And we're now going to work very closely with your team to develop a further range of courses in relation to environmental protection and also to deal with the challenges, both financial and legal, resulting from climate change and environmental change. I should add that the way we're going to be doing it is by working online. The British Legal Centre was formed 11 years ago today with the intention of training young professionals to be international professionals through online courses. We did not expect COVID 11 years ago. However, as you might imagine, over the last 12 months, our company has expanded dramatically into a global company from a mere international company. And it's allowed us to look at the challenges facing the world over the next 4 or 5 years, particularly those regarding to environmental change. Now, how will we cooperate? Well, we will develop courses together and joint training teams and new products as well. Summer school products for training lawyers. We hope to be able to run a summer school this year, COVID permitting, and we hope to run it at the UN Diplomatic School at the same time as your diplomatic summer school. But in the main, we're going to work together by providing courses and training to turn young lawyers and young professionals into international lawyers and international professionals. And we'll do it by addressing the new challenges that have developed in the last 5 to 10 years that are now becoming more and more urgent, particularly with the climate and environmental changes of the last decade. I'm, again, honoured to be working with Unitar. All the team at the British Legal Centre are honoured to be your partners. We look forward to a long and fruitful cooperation, and I look forward to meeting you personally at some stage in the future. There is one other thing I will mention. I'll just mention it because it's something that runs in parallel. By the late summer, we will have set up a further institution to assist and mentor candidates who we see as having the potential to be future leaders, sports leaders, political leaders, business leaders, fashion leaders. And we will be providing sponsorships and bursaries for these people. I anticipate most of them will probably come from the third world, but that's not given. There are many poor people around the world in many Western nations. And we will run this in tandem with our courses which we're developing with Unitar. At some stage in the future, Mr. Seth, I'd like to tell you more about that, but that's a discussion for another day. Well, thank you very much. I'll pass it back now to Unitar to take over. Now let me see, Dr. Anna Sabrina, you're going to...
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure and an honor being with you here today. It's a pleasure and honor speaking to the attendees, and I'm very much looking forward to working with you on the different courses. Let me start up my very brief introductory presentation on the online courses Unitar currently offers on international environmental law. I hope you can all see my screen, and I hope my computer allows me to really start the presentation now. Perfect. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of the 3 courses we currently have. The first one is International Environmental Law, which is really set out to be the foundational course in which participants learn about the different sources and fundamental principles of international environmental law, the lawmaking process, main actors, as well as first insights into compliance mechanisms and multilateral environmental agreements. As you see from the learning objectives, it's very much about being able to define the rules, being able to describe the historical evolution. And this course is taught over the course of 3 modules, starting with a short introduction before diving into the principles and concepts which are shaping international environmental law, and then focusing on the implementation side. The course runs over the course of 3 months, and for all of those interested, the next edition is commencing on the 5th of April. Places are still available. Building on this course is the next course I would like to highlight, which is our course on techniques and procedures of international environmental law. And here we are really looking at the regulatory and economic instruments used by policymakers, the role of environmental impact assessment, and especially also public participation. So here, as you can also see from the learning objectives, we're going more into the real technical application, the operation of licensing systems, and focusing on any procedural rise of public participation. Again, this course is taught over the course of 3 months. We have 3 modules, starting by the introduction to regulatory and economic instruments, then focusing on environmental impact assessment, and finally on public participation and compliance control. So these are our courses which are focusing really purely on environmental law and a bit on the compliance mechanisms. Now I'm going to show you a course which is focusing on something a bit broader, which is our course on human rights, environmental protection, and climate change. And here we really focus on the nexus between human rights and environmental issues, focusing on procedural and substantive obligations relating to the environment, looking at Principle 10 of the Rio Declaration, and especially also looking at what environmental protection and climate change means for vulnerable groups such as indigenous populations. And this course is taught over the course of 2 weeks. It is a tutor-facilitated course. And as you can already see from the vast amount of learning objectives and the different module structure, we are really going into way more details, focusing on not only the relevance of human rights for environmental protection, but also focusing on the SDGs and look at how the SDGs, environmental human rights, and indigenous people's rights relate, really focusing on the nexus. This is the course which has a slightly different methodological approach as opposed to the 3-month courses presented before. Here, participants will not only need to go through the lessons in a self-paced manner, but will also have the chance to write an essay which is graded by our expert and to really develop their own legal reasoning and really focus on the nexus between human rights, environmental protection, and climate change, and to bring all of these 3 important components together. And with that, this course, by the way, starts again in August, so we would also be delighted to welcome as many of today's attendees as possible. I'd like to ask if there were any questions which we can get into during the Q&A session but I'm also going to now stop sharing my presentation so I can have a look at the questions you might have already posted in the Q&A. Thank you so very much. And with that, I think Professor Sudrow has the floor.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. So good afternoon. First, I think I congratulations are in order to the Unitar team and Richard Brady of the British Legal Centre for creating an alliance that will provide these joint trainings, both online and in training facilities. I'm Marjorie Sudrow, and I'm here to present the British Legal Centre's new course offerings in the areas of banking, finance, and financial law. Let's take a quick look at them.
Your screen appears to have frozen.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Let me just do it one more
Okay.
time.
Well, this is one of the delights of live broadcast.
Well, live broadcast.
There we are. That's it.
Let's start with the first one.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
Economics of European integration. This particular one is taught by Dr. Philippe Moutot. Philippe Moutot is a veteran of central banking, and he was there for the Maastricht Treaty founding of the euro currency. Now, why the EU? Well, the EU is based on a model of humanistic peace building and economic stability. And it was born after World War II by great thinkers such as Robert Schuman and ministers and business people, Jean Monnet. They wanted to put an end to international hatred and rivalry, and they found that the key to this would be interdependence or economic interdependence. So gradually, from 1957, a few countries, today now 27 members, the Maastricht Treaty came about in 1993, which created the European Central Bank. And Dr. Philippe Moutot was the chief negotiator at that time for France during Maastricht. Now, Dr. Moutot will share with you, being a member of the European Central Bank, Directorate General Economics, the lessons learned in building a common currency, but also how to survive and weather the storms. Two big shocks that we all felt around the world were the 2008 financial crisis and then the subsequent sovereign bond crisis. And Dr. Moutot will offer these courses privately to central banks and various trade blocs, but also online to those professionals who are interested. And he'll also talk about the way forward. And the way forward, and this is certainly aligned with the shared values of the British Legal Centre and Unitar, is through environmental, social, and corporate governance, ESG. And Philippe Moutot will share his visions and monetary policy strategies for dealing with the post-pandemic economy, climate change, and the greening of banking and redirection of investment, but also debt relief, disruption issues caused by deep technological revolution, and digital currencies. Should central banks launch their own sovereign digital currency? Now, this brings me to the next courses, Legal Aspects of Startup. 7 modules to empower and protect your business, and they're taught by me, yours truly. no matter what your business, country, or market, and especially today, since Dr. Muto will stress in his course the need, he will basically put out a call to banks, central banks, and institutions to pivot towards the financing of small businesses, startups. Why? Well, we have disruption, as he will talk about, but we also have the need to empower youth who are enduring staggering unemployment all over the world. And the biggest obstacle to starting their own business, of course, is funding, but also the fear of forming a company, or the fear of growing a company internationally. So I'll take you through the various phases of corporate formation, what's right for you, all the different funding scenarios, and it doesn't matter if you're B2B or B2C, or you're an app, or a service provider. It doesn't matter. There are legal strategies that can protect you and, in fact, optimize your business position at every step and in every business model. So there's lots to talk about, and we even go through the very simple privacy and non-disclosure agreements and all these other things. And I hope that you come to our website and have a look for yourself and see what we're offering. And I thank you very much.
In fact, if I can come in on the back of that, Professor Sudrow, I know because of confidentiality reasons, we can't give too much information about the governments you're speaking with, but I believe, in fact, that some of the courses are currently, we've signed contracts, or signed a contract in relation to the international aspect of some of these courses with
absolutely
a government of a major country.
Yeah.
However, we have to keep that under wraps at the moment because, of course, it could affect the value of their currency. But this is already ongoing. These courses are ready right now. Okay, great.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm on script, so.
Okay, let's Dr. Anna, Sabrina, I'm going to invite our participants now to ask us any questions they have regarding what they've heard so far. Let's have a look at the chat box for a moment. Okay. All right, what's this say? Will the courses be affordable? We're being asked. Let me answer that. Yes, they will. The British Legal Centre has the ability to adjust the price country by country, to give discounts for each individual country. Certain countries are suffering economically at the moment. Prices for these countries will be discounted down through a code, which we will forward to every potential customer to that country to make the courses affordable. And also one of the things that, and Dr. Anna Sabrina is to thank for this, one of the things we have to do under our agreement with Unitar is we must provide bursaries and scholarships to deserving students who would otherwise not be able to take our courses. So there will be bursaries and scholarships, and there will be reduced prices for those parts of the world that have difficulties in affording the fees, which perhaps more developed lawyers and finance people in more developed parts of the world would not have a problem with. Okay, it's another question. Let me just a moment. Let me just see what the question is. All right, okay. Oh, well, and I think I've answered it, but I'll just read it. I mustn't mention the country you're in because I don't want to. I'm a young lawyer and police officer, and he then describes an area in sub-Saharan Africa. I'd like to specialize in human rights. I'm afraid I might not afford do you offer scholarships to students from his continent or her continent? Yes, we do. And if you write to us direct at the British Legal Centre, it'll come through to my desk and I'll be able to view it. So you write to me in the next week or two and we'll tell you what we can do for you. Here's another question, just a moment, if I may. Let me see what this one says. Ah, yes. Well, asking, will you have a summer school? I hope so. Depends on COVID, doesn't it? We tried having an online summer school, it didn't work. Nothing really recreates the sense of actually being there in the country, mixing with the other participants, visiting the city or country where the summer school is taking place. If COVID relents, we hope to have a summer school in Geneva at the UN Diplomatic School at exactly the same time as Unitar run their diplomatic summer school. And we'll mingle the two groups for trips, talks by visiting UN dignitaries. But it's all very much, we would say, in the lap of the gods. We hope COVID will relent sufficiently for us to do this, and that there's sufficient time for us to market them to make it cost effective. Okay, there's another question coming. Let me just 1 moment. Dr. Anna, Sabrina, you're typing an answer to that person, yes? Thank you. Well, no other questions at the moment. So I'll just check. Is this the same question? Let me get rid of it. Oh, no open questions. Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for joining us, because I think really, subject to anything you want to say now, Dr. Anna, Sabrina, or you, Professor Marjorie, or any of the other team from Unitar who I can see have joined in the meeting. Is there anything else you'd like to speak about? Otherwise, I have one quite important issue which I want to raise, tell people about something that will be coming on stream in the next 2 or 3 months, which may be of considerable interest. But I'll throw it open to you. Dr. Anna, Sabrina, is there anything else you want to say at this stage?
Nothing besides thanking you once more and inviting all attendees to join the course we currently offer, and of course the future courses that we will be creating in cooperation with the British Legal Centre shortly, to which we are looking very much forward.
Thank you very much. Oh, here's a question. I would like to ask if there is any way to do an assessment to choose the course that best fits the candidate. Well, yes and no. We have certain free tests available on the website to check your ability in legal English and in general English, which will indicate which sort of basic legal English training you require, though we don't have a test to assess whether you should take an environmental law course or a workers' rights protection course or a course relating to protecting or promoting the rights of women. But there are free tests on the British Legal Centre website, which if you take one of these tests, the computer will send you a report on your English. And from that, we can then make a recommendation as to the best course for you to improve and polish your legal English ability, legal English writing ability. So that's a good place to start.
And if I may come in for the Unitar courses, on our registration page, we have an overview of the topics to be covered and the learning objectives for the course and the individual modules. So if these are of interest to you, we would most certainly recommend you to join the course and would be delighted to welcome you.
Great. Let me just see if I've got this question. I've been asked, what level of English is required for your courses? Is there an oral test I need to pass? And do you give a certificate at the end? Oh, very valuable question. Well, you certainly will get a certificate at the end, and the certificate provided it's one of the approved courses, will carry the logos of both the Unitar and the British Legal Centre. What level of English is required? Well, at the moment, probably intermediate level and above. Although, and this is one of the two things I wanted to mention, we are presently working on a range of our own textbooks, which are for total beginners. Now, there aren't any total beginners watching this course, watching this webinar, but we will have some textbooks on legal English for elementary level students to bring them up to the intermediate level, where the native speaker English teachers can take over. And we have teachers now in Turkey and Brazil and some other countries which can teach you in your own language initially to deal with the grammar points until you're ready to take a course with a native English speaker of English. Right. And there's one other thing I want to mention, which I know. We want to make courses that are affordable globally for students. There are many professional bodies in the West who provide courses, and they're excellent courses. Do not wish to say anything derogatory about them. But the simple fact is they're outside the financial capability of many people around the world. We are presently working on 2 particular courses. They will be recorded by the leading lawyers of those particular legal specializations. Top barristers in the UK, Singapore, Australia, Canada, and lawyers from Egypt and Brazil are currently collaborating to record a highly specialized, high-level arbitration law and practice course, including sections on advocacy skills. And exactly the same level of QC barristers from the UK, Australia, Singapore, etc., are working on a course, recorded course of mediation. Once they're recorded, it'll be 2 months or so before they finish recording, they'll be available at the sort of price that lawyers in third world countries can afford. And by this, we hope to expand the range of professionalism, legal professionalism, to around the world. Right. Sorry, I sound like I sound like a fanatic. I'm not. But it is important to me that legal training is affordable to everybody. Let me just check one last question, just to see if it's a repeat of what we've already said. No, it's the same. Well, that then really... So, Dr. Anna Sabrina, you want to say something?
Yes, because there is a question in the chat about sharing the presentation slides, and I think we can answer that in the affirmative, since we're also recording this session, and I think the British Legal Centre will be sharing the recording on YouTube for everyone to see, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I've had another question. Will the certificates offer credit to universities? Well, it's a university by university thing. We are talking with a number of universities in South America and in Southeast Asia. And they almost certainly will give credits for the certificates. But this isn't global yet. So I can't say you're going to get certificates. You can't get help with one of the universities in Dubai or Kuwait. We need time to work on them. But at the moment, if you're in South America or Southeast Asia, there's a good chance that it's a university by university thing, of course. There's lots of universities in the world. But we're working on it. Some universities already will, but there's a lot more to deal with. And we're taking on new staff in the next few weeks to assist us with the marketing of this. Well, I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much. Dr. Anna Sabrina, I want to thank you very much for your involvement. And you, Professor Sudrow, thank you as well. And for the rest of the Unitar team who may not have spoken today, but thank you very much for your help in organizing all this. And I want to give a special thanks to Mr. Nikhil Seth. I'm so pleased for the British Legal Centre to have this opportunity to work with Unitar. And I believe working together, just in the next 2 or 3 months, we can make major change to the professional abilities of lawyers and young professionals around the world. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so very much, Richard.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you,
It's a
everyone.
pleasure.
Bye-bye for today. Bye-bye.